Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We are excited to share with you our reports module, which is designed to harness real-time data insights across your entire business. My name is Tasneem Nomanbai, and I am your co-host for today. I am on the account management team and work as a customer success manager, but some of you may know me from my previous role in implementation. I'm joined by our host for today, Mahlon Duke. Mahlon is a product manager here at Accelo, and fun fact, he is one of the first employees at Accelo. Not only is he a long-serving member, but he is an integral piece from conception to launching the reports module. Now, before we jump into the agenda, I do want to take a moment to highlight the importance of this release. And it has been one of the most requested features on our ideas forum, and one of the missing pieces in running our clients' business operations. Well, I'm happy to say we heard your feedback, and we and this was actually truly a labor of love. So we are really excited, beyond excited, to share with you our reports module today. I know I've built up a lot of suspense, so I won't let you guys wait any longer. We're going to share the agenda. Today, Mahlon will cover several of the popular reports in his demo. So we'll cover what you see here: sales pipeline report, project WIP reports, client revenue, retainer revenue forecast, and client profitability. Then I will talk about how to unlock access. And then lastly, we will end with a Q&A section where you can post your questions and we will address them there. Now, if you have questions along the way, feel free to post them in chat and we'll cover them in our Q&A. If we don't get a chance to address them, don't worry, we'll follow up via email. Okay. All right, well, I will let you take it from here, Mahlon.
Thank you so much, Taz. Reports in Accelo have been, as you said, a real labor of love for me and the rest of the team. Accurate, insightful reporting is really one of the most effective tools for growing a business today. Using reports, you can identify valuable business insights, and you're able to more efficiently leverage the limited resources that you have available. We've found, however, that the time and expertise that are required to make a business reporting system truly effective and profitable can be unduly expensive and time-consuming to implement. So one of the driving factors behind our new reports module is providing you with those business insights and important data points like time entries and profitability out of the box, so that you can immediately begin to see value from this reporting system. Now today, the reports module contains 70 unique reports on everything from your sales pipeline and project budgets to revenue forecasting and unpaid invoices. Today, we're going to give you just a little taste of all of the incredible power available across all of these different reports. We're going to show you just a few of the most popular ones. The first one we're going to start with today is our sales pipeline report. Now, like your client onboarding process, our journey starts here with that sales process. The sales pipeline report focuses on giving you the exact information so that you know what revenue is coming down the pipeline, when it's likely to close, and how likely that is to actually close, to give you a little idea of what your actual revenue is going to be so that you can plan and budget accurately. Now, this report uses real-time estimates to provide you with up-to-the-minute sales data on exactly how you're tracking today, so that as you're approaching, say, the end of month, we can see how the sales team is progressing. One of the ways that I like to look at this report, and the place I'll typically start with, is the value over time graph that you see here at the top. This is an invaluable tool to see what's coming down the pipeline in the coming months. In this case, to see that November is unfortunately looking a little bit light with Thanksgiving and other holidays coming up, but December is scheduled to rebound. We're looking at a potential upside of 510 grand in this case. We're looking pretty darn good. Now, this report is also flexible to handle the different reporting methods that you have as your own individual company. When it comes to things like comparing the potential value to the weighted value of your sales opportunities, that can differ so much from organization to organization, based on the likelihood to close opportunities, the progress through the sales opportunity, and a number of other factors. And so one of the things that we've really tried to do with reports here is ensure that these are flexible. If we expand our controls here at the top, in addition to filters on important details like the salesperson that we're reviewing, we also have handy tools available to focus on different methods of reviewing the data that's there. For example, to look at our sales opportunities based on the progress through the sales process, which is always helpful when you have those overly optimistic salespeople, and we need to temper that optimism with how far we actually are through that sales process. Those filters are powerful, updating the entire report to show you how changes to things like that calculation method affect all of the different breakdowns that we offer. Now that's including everything from the different types of sales to the status of that sale, and one that I really like, the leaderboard for our different salespeople. So we can see who is bringing the most in, what's potential, what's weighted, again, to see if we have someone who is out and leading the pack and who maybe needs a little bit of assistance here, like our friend Zach. Now, the sales pipeline is available to every Accelo user today. This is one of the 10 complimentary reports that are available to every Accelo user. Our next step now that we've closed our sales and have a good handle on the pipeline coming is to look at that next step. Once you've won a sale, the next step is to actually, of course, perform that work that you sold. In many cases, that means creating and tracking your progress using a project in Accelo. With so many projects going on at once, though, 26 in this case, it can be difficult to keep track of all of them. Budgets for each project, material budgets, time estimates, profitability margins, invoicing. There's a lot of different details to keep track of. And so we're going to check out now our Project WIP report. This report actually comes in two flavors for your day-to-day team members who need to check in on things like their budgets for time. And in this form here, incorporating the profitability and profit margins and larger budgets of your projects for your project managers and high-level executives who need that deeper level of access. This represents one of our paid reports available with the reports license. Now, one of the things that we really tried to do with our reports here is offer you very simple, straightforward answers to your business questions, especially when it comes to things like project budgets, which can vary so greatly from project to project, and there can be so much to keep track of. Looking at the raw numbers can be confusing. And so we took what we call the Friday afternoon approach. It's 4 p.m. and I'm really done working for today, but I need to check up and make sure that our projects are good before I sign off for the day. So we wanted to make that easy with simple color coding to show that our budget usage, our time budgets, and our profitability is all looking good today, and simple percentages to show you how well they're doing, not just that they are doing well. In this case, that we are over our profit estimates, we are way under our time budget estimates today, and we're on track at the conclusion of our projects to continue to be under budget. And the same goes for our actual dollar budgets. Now, reports like these are important both for executives who need to be keeping track of company profitability and for the managers who are actually responsible for keeping these projects on track day to day. A Project WIP report makes it easy to keep track of that work for those project managers. We can do things like focus this larger report down on just individual project managers as they're managing their own day-to-day work, and as we're getting into our weekly meetings and checking up on how the larger company is performing. That's also helpful because it lets us sift out individual data points. In this case, to see that the Alex team is looking at a potential problem with profitability for their projects. They are just barely under our planned profit levels. Now, in this case, it lets us know that that is a potential problem. We have that easy Friday afternoon encoding to let us know there's an issue, but it arms us with enough information to see that, well, 99.9% is pretty darn good. That may not be something we need to jump onto directly. Now, with high-level numbers like these, seeing that there is something to look at is really our focus, knowing that I do need to investigate these and take the next step. For that next step, each of our reports includes a breakdown of all of the information that comprises the report you see. If we scroll down, you'll find the details table. And so this includes all of the projects that we're looking at when we see that potential budget problem. And we can see very clearly that Alex's project here is well under budget and looking good, but we've got a couple of potential problems here for Lake Savers and our Waldorf Astoria client. They are way, way over their planned cost. And that gives us something that we can investigate directly. Now, with reports like these, seeing that there is something we need to work on is an important first step. So we know that work needs to be done. Our reports also connect you to that next step, investigating the project to see, is there something that we can improve here? Each of our details tables offers you direct links to the project, the sales opportunity, the task, the time entry that you're looking at in your report. Simply click the link to be taken directly to that work so that you can begin that next step of getting it back on track. Now that we're confident that our project here is on track and profitable, let's zoom out for a moment and take a look at the larger company finances with our client revenue report. Now, one of the difficult decisions that can arise when you have so many different clients with so many different projects going on at once is which of those clients and which of those projects to prioritize when you have more work than resources to perform that work. The client revenue report is an incredibly powerful tool for helping answer that question of which client to focus on and who to do that work for first. By providing you with information on who your best clients are, and not just who's paid you the most, but who is consistent, so that you can focus on long-time clients, on consistent clients, and not just that one client that had one big invoice. Now, as we're looking at our client revenue, one of the places that I start is on our client leaderboard. It's a quick and easy way to see who our best clients are. In this case, we can see that far and away, Delta here has resulted in the most revenue. We're almost at 500 grand this year, far ahead of our other clients. Part of what we want to arm you with, though, is more information on that revenue. In this case, we can see that while Delta has the most revenue, most of that is actually unpaid. We've raised invoices, we've sent it out, but they haven't actually paid us for that time just yet. Now, they are, however, the client with the most paid revenue as well. It looks like we've got a bit of a collections issue with our current clients here. Part of what we want to do with tools like these, now that we know that Delta is our best client and they have paid a lot of their invoices, is look at the root causes. Why are they so good at paying their invoices? How can we duplicate that for other clients? Part of what we can do with our reports here is focus on those factors to really find out what we can be doing better. And in this case, looking at that particular client to see how they contribute to our other areas. How is that looking over time, for example? We can see here at the top that August was a very good month. June, however, not so much. They fell off the boat a little bit, but May they're back. So we start to get a feel for how our revenue is coming in the door and what we can expect to see in coming months. Now, so far, we've been looking a lot at projects, those big one-off pieces of work that net a lot of our revenue. There's a lot of other work, however, that goes on within your Accelo account. Support tickets, recurring retainer work. So let's change gears now and take a look at our retainers and that consistent revenue stream. The Retainer Revenue Forecast Report is one of the most powerful reports available in our new reporting module. It provides you with information not just on what you've seen from retainers so far, but with a forecast of what we can expect to see in revenue in the coming months, so that you can, again, plan your budgets and plan your work confident that you'll see the revenue to support that work. One of the most powerful ways it does that is via the revenue over time graph right at the top here, because it's going to show us where that revenue is coming in. We can see in this case that June, of course, was our big month. We're at almost 450,000. And each of our other months is a little bit lower, but they are consistent, which of course with retainers is one of our goals, establishing a consistent, reliable revenue stream that can support our other initiatives. Now with recurring revenue, one of the things that we want to make sure we're taking into account is the frequency at which we're billing. When we have monthly clients, that of course is a really easy, consistent revenue stream. We always have that money coming in the door. But we want to make sure that we're taking into account big bumps from quarterly and annual clients as well. And so our report breaks that information down, showing us, for example, that last month we had a sizable bump in quarterly revenue, which of course we won't see again this month, and mostly won't see again in the next month until that comes back around in the next quarterly payment here in December. The same goes, of course, for our annual clients. We're going to see a big bump here each year in June, and we want to make sure that we're correctly accounting for that, so we don't expect to see that same bump in July and August and on. Now, when we're looking at big overtime values like these, it's really helpful to look at June versus July and see how that compares. But when we're thinking about recurring revenue, we often want to take a wider view of our time and our revenue. And so our reports also offer simple drilling tools so that we can pull out to look at our revenue by quarter and by year for those simpler summaries to tell you exactly what your revenue is going to look like. And as with all of our other reports, the Retainer Revenue Forecast Report also includes information on exactly where that revenue is coming from with our details table. It's a hugely helpful tool as we're starting to identify good clients, like our postpaid media client here for Delta Airlines, bringing in $5,500 a month, and then dropping in June and July, giving us more information on how our retainers ebb and flow throughout the month, so that again, we can use this information to reproduce what we're doing well and make sure that our other clients remain profitable. Now, one of the things that this particular report does really well is offers this information as a pivot table, so that we can focus on summarizing that value to look at how we're pulling in our revenue from different types of retainer. In this case, seeing that our postpaid monthly hours is doing very well, where our quarterly postpaid clients are fairly low, only seeing $2,000 every quarter. as compared to between 6 and 10 grand each month. Again, letting us know and plan when we're pushing different agreements, which ones are our most profitable, and we want to continue to push. Now, our final report for today is going to be the client profitability report, where the client revenue report that we saw earlier gave us insight into where most of our revenue comes from. The client profitability report goes a step further to answer that question of who your good clients are, who's costing you money, and again, who you want to prioritize. This report uses the budgets that your team is updating and setting every day in Accelo to provide you with insight into the profitability from each of those clients so that you have an accurate picture of what your profit is and where it's coming from. Now, like we've seen with some other reports, the profit over time graph is a really helpful place to start to see not just who our good clients are, but where that income is originating. To see, for example, that November is looking like a very good month. Delta, again, is leading the pack, bringing in the lion's share of our profit, and allowing us to look back to see, for example, that in May, the Waldorf Astoria was keeping us afloat, and they're coming back around the bend in December. That arms us with the information to ensure that we are prioritizing their work in the coming months. Now, one of the questions that I always want to answer every time I see a report like this is not just who's bringing in money, but who's my most profitable? Who should I be focusing on? And we again want to offer simple answers to that question. Our most profitable client here is Delta Airlines with project-based work. And as we look further down the line, we can start to see that all of our good profitability is coming from projects. It's coming from Earth Adventures. It's coming from Santa Fe Engine. It's coming from, well, I suppose we're billing ourselves for some of this internal work as well. But providing you not just with that sum total of who a good client is, but how that revenue is coming in, so that we can again try to reproduce and encourage those revenue streams. And again, the work details report is an incredibly useful tool when we're looking at this profitability, because it shows us not just who those clients are, but which projects, which retainers, and which tickets comprise that profit. So we can see if there are any that are loss leading for us. For example, Conifer here has a couple of unprofitable projects that we're working on, but we are going to be recovering that value. So that again, we can use this information to adjust and fix any potential problems. We have a few zeros, for example, that might represent a budget that still needs to be set up. And lots of great, good, profitable values that we can work to encourage. Now, we looked a moment ago at our report here to see not just who's most profitable, but the kind of work that is profitable. Our reports offer helpful filters to focus on just that detail so that we can start to investigate, is it worth offering more recurring retainers? Is it profitable to work on these projects? Where is that income coming from? And of course, to look at the different sources, from the people who are running the projects to the types of projects that we're performing. All of these important details can help to factor in how we're remaining profitable so that we can continue to be profitable. So thank you so much, everyone, for your time and your attention. We have a lot of really powerful reports to show you. So if you haven't yet, check it out in your own Accelo account. Reports are available today to everyone. And Taz, I'll pass it back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Mahlon, for the detailed overview. I'm so excited, and judging by our comments and questions that are coming in, our clients are too. This is an essential tool that will allow users to gain powerful insights into their business. And I know you're eagerly awaiting how to access, so let me take some time to review this with you. For clients that are hosted on our US server, there are 10 free reports included in your account under the reports module. Now, in order to access the 70 unique reports, there is an additional license fee. So this is in addition to your mix and match and ServeOps subscription plan. So for those of you that are on our annual and quarterly billing cycle, it's $12 per user per month. And those that are on our monthly billing cycle, it's $15 per user per month. Administrators can grant access to the reports module license by navigating to their configuration settings under Manage User Licenses, and you'll see that screenshot on the left-hand side. When you get to this screen, you'll also see all the users that are listed with your pricing plan. So if you're confused about pricing, don't worry. It's denoted in your screen, and you can individually select who to give access to. Okay, so something to keep in mind is that permission restrictions apply. So there are financial visibility permissions and module license permissions. So for example, in order to see financial reports, you would need financial visibility. And in order to see projects, you would need access to the project module license or the ServeOps license. If you have any other questions, feel free to email us at success@accelo.com or your CSM. But we also have a Q&A coming up just right about now, so you can address them there. I know we have a lot already from the team. Okay, so I hope Mahlon and I have answered your pressing questions. We want to take some time because some of you have been sending some excellent questions, and we want to take a chance to address them here. And again, if we don't have a chance to address your question, I know some of you, we will be following up via email. Okay, so I can start us off here. Okay, I know there was one from Martine Steele, and she is asking, would there be any data in client revenue reports that we haven't, if they haven't linked to their invoicing, Mahlon?
That's a great question. Client revenue in Accelo, based on its name, as you might have guessed, is based on the invoices that you've raised in Accelo. So you'll only see information there if you are invoicing in Accelo. Now you don't necessarily have to, of course, send those. Many of our users use Accelo's invoices as dummies to get a good looking PDF they can share with clients, and of course to mark projects as being invoiced. So that will still give you the data. You'll also still find information in tools like the Client Profitability Report, where you'll still get information on what you've budgeted and the costs that have been logged through materials, time entries, and expenses. So even if you're not invoicing in Accelo, we still have lots of good financial information to share with you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Mahlon. All right, we have another one from Jason Wellman, and he is asking about the retainer revenue forecast. What data point is the forecasted revenue coming from? And is the forecast based on the dollar amount built into the retainer template, or is it pulled from the individual retainer amount?
It's a great question. So our retainer revenue forecast, as you have highlighted there, uses a few different numbers to identify how much you're making today in retainers and how much you're going to be making tomorrow. For those estimates, we'll use each retainer's amount. So not necessarily the type that you set up once and forgot about, but the actual amounts that you've set up for each client and each individual retainer. For existing retainer periods, this month and last month, we'll use the actual amounts so that if you have had to give a discount to someone or you've had a really profitable month, we'll take that variance into account. And for the future, we'll use what you've set up as the standard amounts for that particular client based on the prepaid prices, template tasks, and template materials that we can rely on to give you a good estimate for revenue.
Awesome, thanks, Mahlon. Okay, so we've been getting a couple of similar ones, and a couple of our users have asked, can they customize or build their own reports?
Not today. Today, the reports that you find in Accelo are offered as is. We have robust filters built into them to focus on particular clients, particular types of work, areas of work, assignees, with a lot of different options in there. Now, if you have something that you'd like to see in reports and we don't have today, reach out to your account managers or success@accelo.com. We are excited to continue to expand this report to accommodate your needs.
Okay, great. So another question was from Sarah. She wanted to know uh, which of the reports that you went over during your call were free and which ones were paid.
Certainly. During today's call, we focused first on the sales pipeline report. That is one of our most powerful reports and is one of those that's included complimentary in every Accelo account. For a larger list of all of the free reports, check out our help guides. They'll tell you which ones are free, which ones are paid, and the particular requirements for each one, like financial visibility and projects licenses. Another very easy way is to go into your Accelo account and open the reports list. You'll instantly have access to all of the free ones, and you'll see clear icons for any that are paid and you don't have access to.
Awesome. Okay. We thank you, Malin. So I think other question from our users is that can the reports be enabled for some, but not all?
Absolutely. This was something that we were very conscious of as we were building reports. For executive team members and managers, data like this is essential to know what's profitable, who are your good clients, and which team members might need a little bit of help. But that information is not relevant for every contractor and entry-level employee. Today, the reports license can be granted to individual users so that only those individuals that you feel would benefit from this information have access to them. And that way as well, you're only paying for access for the users who truly need it, regardless of whether you're on a mix and match plan with just sales or projects, service or retainers licenses, or you're on our overall ServOps license. You can just grant reports to the individuals who need access.
Okay, thanks, Malin. So another question is from Mitchell Foreman. Is there a way to connect Excel report data to an outside database like Excel or a SQL server?
Not today. Reports itself in Accelo is a self-contained reporting system. Now, if you'd like to take that to the next level, we have a few consultants available who have done really amazing things connecting the Accelo database directly to external services, Xero, for example, being one of the most popular ones we've seen. We also have built into every report in Accelo direct exports to Excel. So even if you just want to start with Accelo reports, you can pull that information directly out quickly, securely, and with all of the details that you might need to use to get that process started outside of the system. But again, if you have information you'd like to see in a report, reach out. We are excited to be able to continue to expand reports to answer these questions.
Okay, great. Thank you, Malin. Another question we have is from Jason Wellman. Will all of these reports be available to filter by division?
We're slowly expanding the division filter. You may have noticed on several reports like Project WIP and Retainer Revenue Forecast already offer the client division filter, and so we're slowly rolling that out to other reports. You'll see similar filters being added over time for things like the primary account manager for each client.
Awesome. Okay. Another question from Danielle Fish. Will we be able to download, export the tables from various reports?
Absolutely. I mentioned this a moment ago, but to confirm, every visual you see in a report, every pie graph, every bar chart, and every details table can be exported directly to Excel format. When you're looking at a report, just click the visual and you'll see a little options icon on the right. That'll pull the information directly out into Excel format. That also has the benefit of coming out directly so it bypasses any size limitation or speed limitations you might see when exporting data from other areas of Accelo.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Mahlon. Now, Catherine Charbonneau asks, we are a Canadian company. Do we have access to these reports?
You do, you absolutely do. Reports is available today for all accounts that are hosted in our North American data center. The only accounts that will not have access are those that are hosted in our Australian data center and our European data center. That is still coming for those accounts as well. We haven't forgotten about you.
Okay, awesome. Another question that we are getting is, can I try out reports before I buy it?
Absolutely. There's a ton of information to see in reports, and it's important to be able to see what's in there before you make a decision about whether to proceed. If you want to get quick access to reports to kick it around without paying for it, reach out to your account manager. They can help set you up with access for free to look around the system and make that decision for yourself.
Okay, awesome. There is an ongoing conversation in chat, Mahlon, and users want to know, do you sound like this in real life?
I really do. It takes a little bit of practice and a little bit of time, but this is me.
Okay, okay, awesome. Okay, another question that we're getting is, do I need to have access to ServOps to access reports?
No, you don't. Reports is available to any Accelo user, whether you're on ServOps or just on projects or just on retainers or some combination otherwise. The only time you'll see restrictions is when you're accessing reports. For example, the retainer revenue forecast report is only available to staff members who have a retainer's license. Now, if you're unsure of which one you need, check out our help guides. We identify exactly what you need for every report.
Awesome. Okay, great. And Mahlon, we do have another question coming, which is, are you going to be adding more reports?
Absolutely. I already have 3 in the pipeline, I'm happy to say. And again, we are excited to continue to expand reports to answer all of your emerging business questions. So again, reach out to your account managers and success@accelo.com. Let us know what you need.
Okay, great. And so it looks like we have answered, I think, most of the questions. Okay, I think we have a few more coming in. So Aaron is asking, reports for clients, are they available through the client portal?
They're not available through the client portal today because there is so much sensitive internal information that's available in these reports.
Okay, great. All right, so then we do have another question from Aaron, is when is that going to happen?
So we have no plans today to make reports available directly from the client portal. We do have some reports that are going to contain information that will be relevant for your clients, such as focusing on the budget usage of individual projects. We are looking to add more straightforward ways of sharing that, such as exporting reports to PDF. So look out for that in the coming months. In the short term, the quickest and easiest way to share that information is to either export the data directly to Excel with that built-in tool, or, and of course the quick and simple option is to just screenshot the content that you'd like to share with your client.
Okay, great. Thanks, Mahlon. We have a question from Slater Solomon. We invoice monthly for work done as we progress through the engagement. How will the reports module handle that for the revenue forecast?
So revenue forecast is built on the budgets that you've defined for your work and the due dates that you've defined. So if you've set up your project's due date as being, say, the end of the year, we'll identify the potential revenue there as coming in at the end of the year. And as you're looking at more specific breakdowns, for example, looking at individual milestones or tickets or retainer periods, we'll use those milestones, tickets, and retainer periods, their budgets and their due dates to forecast when that revenue is coming in and the profitability of them.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Mahlon. We have a question from Elliot Webb, would you be able to schedule reports to be sent with a PDF or Excel file, for example, once a week or month, etc.?
So we mentioned a moment ago that one of the things that we have coming down the pipeline is a more direct way to save and export these reports as PDF. Part of the reasoning behind that is specifically for that situation, where you want to schedule specific reports with particular filters and details included to be shared. For example, for your quarterly executive team meetings, so that you have the reports there without having to take the extra step. So that is coming as part of that more expansive exporting system.
Okay. All right, so then we do have a question from Leslie Lewis. If we create retainer periods in the future, would that forecast treat those future periods and the associated value as actual?
When we're looking at reports like the retainer revenue forecast, we don't make a distinction between actual and what's forecast. We simply use the best information we have. Now that means that if you are creating your periods ahead of time, then we'll use exactly what you've defined in those periods. So for example, if you have discounts coming up in a coming month, or maybe your client scales back during the holidays because business slows down in general, because you've created the periods already, we can take that specific information into account and then continue to forecast beyond what you've already created.
Okay, thanks, Mahlon. Another question is, are the various dashboards like sales, projects, and tickets going to be made obsolete with these new report modules, or will they still be available or even expanded upon?
Our existing dashboards have a lot of really powerful information, and there's no plan to replace those today. They'll still be there for users who just work directly in Accelo and don't have reports licenses. That way they have the information they need without having to deal with the separate module and all of the information that goes with that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Cheryl Brennan is asking, can I determine what fields show in the report? For example, can I remove some that are not needed?
The reports today aren't customizable to that level. Now we do offer filters to help focus the reports on specific subsets of info, on specific clients or types of work or areas of work to help focus that down. But as far as actually removing content from the report, that's not available today.
Okay, great. Thanks, Malin. Getting a couple of questions from Aaron is asking, is there an Accelo users group so we can share ideas with other Accelo customers?
Absolutely. We have an Accelo users forum where many of our users share tips and tricks and also ask questions about the best ways to use Accelo and how to handle certain niche situations. This is especially popular with our digital agency clients who share information about best ways to manage retainers and PPC contracts. So we'll send out a link to that here in the chat, and we'll follow up with you with that link as well.
Okay, thanks, Malin. Okay, Deborah is asking, do you need the retainer module to access these forecast reports?
Yes, for reports which deal with retainers, like the retainer revenue forecast report, you will need a retainer's license to access that information.
Okay, perfect. All right. I think that we have just about finished a lot of the questions that were asked. And there's still some coming in, so I'll keep going, guys. You're keeping us busy. All right.
Keep them coming.
Yeah, keep them coming. All right. Charlie is asking, does the new reports module show a similar view of the user dashboard?
We haven't tried to recreate the user dashboard itself in reports, simply because the user dashboard itself is still there and still available. What we have tried to do is to offer more focused breakdowns of work for your teams. One of the ones that I find to be the most helpful, for example, is the active tasks report. This is one of our free reports that's available to every user in Accelo, and it breaks down tasks across Accelo for projects, retainers, sales opportunities, and everything in between, so that your team can quickly find the tasks that they're responsible for, plan for those that are coming up due, keep track of budgets for many, many different tasks, and so that your managers can look at many different team members at once.
Okay, great. Thanks, Madeline. Susan Martin is asking, are you able to save applied filters slash views within reports?
Not today. Today, when you open a report, filters are applied individually. This is, though, one of the areas that we're working to improve, to expand our existing filter system, to save the report filters you applied last time, so that you don't have to apply that each time. So that is already in progress, so look out for that in the coming months.
Okay, great. Erin is wanting to ask, are reports included with the all-in-one ServOps license?
The reports module offers 10 free reports to everyone who uses Accelo: ServOps, projects, sales, and all licenses. The larger list of 70 unique reports is available only with the reports license, including for those who subscribe to ServOps today.
Okay, thanks for mentioning that again, Malin. Another question is, we are not currently invoicing through Accelo, working to get there. Would these reports still be relevant to us in the meantime?
Absolutely. We mentioned this a little bit earlier on, but just to confirm, our reports will use not just the amounts you've raised in invoices today. They'll use the budgets that you've defined for your projects, tickets, and retainers to give you an idea of how profitable you are and how you've been utilizing your budgets.
Okay, great. We have a question from Sam. Is there a way we could see a sample PDF for each of the other reports to see how they look and what is inside them?
Absolutely. If you check out our help guides at accelero.com, each report has its own section with an example showing you the content of that report, the filters that are available, the types of data in them, and even common use cases for situations where you might want to use a report, which can be really helpful if you're not quite sure where to find the specific details that you're looking for.
We have a question from Mary Moore. She asked, how do we date stamp the WIP report? And they would need to run this WIP report at end of year, but they wouldn't be running the report during the following month, or it would be until the following month later. Sorry if I'm mixing it up, Mary.
No worries. I think I get the idea here. When we're getting to the end of the year, Christmas, New Year's, most people aren't in the office and working. So we'll be pulling reports the week or two after the new year. And we want to look at how we can get our WIP details as of the end of the year. Well, I'm happy to say that the Project WIP report, as well as just about every report in Accelo, includes some very straightforward date filters. So you can look at projects from the month of December and the month prior, as well as all our other reports.
Awesome. Thank you. And Mary asked a follow-up question. How do we get reports exported into Excel?
I'm happy to announce that every visual in every report in Accelo offers a direct export to Excel. Just click on the individual visual you'd like to export, like that details table. That is all that good information on your profit margins and clients and work titles. And just select the export option. That'll pull all of the information you see right there out into Excel format, with the benefit of pulling that directly out, bypassing some of the size and speed limitations that you might see elsewhere in Accelo.
Awesome. Thank you, Malin. Okay, so while we're on WIP, Kate Poulter is asking, will the project WIP do past jobs before purchase?
Now, I'm not familiar with the purchase concept there, so we'll follow up with you there. And please reach out to your account manager as well if we don't get this right. But you do have the opportunity with the Project WIP report to look at past completed projects as well as just active ones. We'll only include active projects by default, but you can use filters to look at those ones that have already completed as well.
Okay, thanks, Malin. Kate will follow up with you. Miss D. Bernard is asking, can you explain the amount invoiced versus budget as a negative?
Absolutely. One of the ideas behind that number is that when we're setting project budgets, we're setting our target for what we're going to be billing throughout the project. Now, ideally, though, we're going to find other ways to squeeze more revenue out of those projects. And so that number is used to give you an idea of whether we've invoiced less than our total budgets, if there is a positive number there, that there is still something to go, and to identify good situations where we've invoiced even more than we'd budgeted. When that number goes negative, we've invoiced more than we'd originally budgeted.
Great, thank you. Felicity is asking, will Accelo have trials for these reports to see if these work for the business?
Absolutely, Felicity. We are happy to help set you up with access to reports so that you can look around and kick the tires and learn a little bit more about what's there, with so much there to see, without paying for it. So reach out to your Accelo account manager or the success@accelo.com address, and we're happy to get you set up.
Okay, great. Thanks, Malin. John is asking, how can we trial all reports to decide? Oh, I think we've kind of answered that, right? So yes, just go ahead and contact us. All right, Janice, it seems quite expensive. And Janice, also, sorry, I'm just reading these. Trial will get you set up. Don't worry, guys. Okay. Mary Moore is asking, are there any plans to have a report builder module so you can design your own?
Today, we're not offering a customized report builder, with the idea that there is so much information in an Accelo account that we want to make sure that you can see value out of the box as soon as you get in from all of the pre-built reports that we offer. Now, if you have specific reports that you'd like to see and expand, we are not nearly done with reports. We're going to be continuing to expand our existing reports with no information and adding new reports to look at your data and break it down in other ways. Reach out to us and post to our ideas forum. If there's anything you'd like to see, we would be excited to include it for you.
Awesome, thanks, Malin. Okay, Janice is asking, does the client revenue reports pull information from our integrated accounting system or only information loaded in Accelo?
The client revenue report specifically deals with the invoices that are present in Accelo. Now, if you have an accounting system you've integrated with Accelo, like Xero, for example, then by having those invoices pulled into Accelo, we're able to update and display your client revenue report. Other reports, like client profitability, for example, will use all of the other information that your team has set up to provide you with that info. The budgets for your projects, the costs of the time entries, materials, and expenses that they have logged to give you an idea, even if you're not invoicing in Accelo, of how you're tracking.
Great, thanks, Malin. Petra is asking, can you look at revenue retroactively for the year from projects too?
Absolutely. One of the reports we offer is specifically focused on that question. We have revenue by project and by client, and even by the date that we've raised our invoices. So that is perfect for looking back at previous quarters or previous months to see how revenue is tracked over the year.
Okay, great, thanks, Malin. Andrew is asking, can you get a drill down into the revenue of your customers across both projects and retainers?
Absolutely. That's just what the client revenue report is meant for. That'll include not just who is your best client and who you're seeing the most revenue from, but it'll provide details on the projects, the tickets, and the retainers that comprise that amount. So that again, you can investigate and improve upon what you're seeing there.
Okay. And since I just saw this question come in, is the client revenue report part of the free reports we have access to?
The client revenue report is one of those that's available with the reports license. So that you will need to set up your trial to investigate it further.
Okay, thank you. Karen is asking, she has multiple questions in one, so I'll get started. Looking at the 4 weekly forecasting utilization, is this a new report? And can I specify billable versus non-billable?
Now, it sounds like we're looking at the client profitability report there. And so that does include filters for things like project type and billable details to give you an idea of really where that profit is going to come from. So you can focus on the sources.
Got it. And this was part of her question. So, and how do you specify if a person is only available 50% of the billable project?
Ah, now when we're looking at individual resources and how they contribute to projects, I'd recommend checking out our time entry value reports. We include two versions of that report depending on which staff member needs to look at it: executives and managers who need a little more insight, and your end users who just need to focus on the time that they've logged. That is available complimentary for all users of the Accelo system, but that is the best place to see what your team has logged, the cost, and value associated with that time.
Okay, great. Thanks, Malin. So we have lots of questions coming in, and we'll continue to answer them here. So Michael is asking, can any sales pipeline data from historical data be viewed or stored? Is the export function the only approach? And would one need to use a calendar-based cadence to have historical information?
Yes, so if you wanted to keep track of what your sales pipeline looked like today as compared to what your sales pipeline looked like yesterday, the export tool is your best bet to keep track of all that historical information.
Great. Awesome. And then what I think we may have addressed this, but Eduardo is asking what reports are included in our regular subscription.
Thanks, Eduardo. The easiest way to see which reports are available for free with your Accelo account is to head over to the navigation in your Accelo account and open up the reports list. We'll immediately show you all of the free ones, as well as details on what the other reports are that you could potentially access. I'd also recommend looking into our help guides on reports. We have detailed guides on each and every report, including information on the licenses required and the permissions for them, the content, filters, and details that are available in them, and even common use cases for situations where you might want to be using each individual report.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Malin. Kath is asking, is the cost per user of the reports module or per user in your installation regardless of usage of the new module?
So the reports license is a cost per individual. So as many individuals as you do want to enable reports for, you'll only pay for them. The idea being that deeper reports are often really only relevant for executives and manager staff. Your day-to-day users who are working on the actual projects don't need access to that information, and so shouldn't be paid for to access that information.
Awesome. Okay, thanks, Malin. Kim is asking, will you be creating an in-depth video tutorial for each report type?
We haven't got any plans yet, but if that's something you think would be helpful for you, reach out to your Accelo account manager. We're happy to help set something up for you.
Okay, great. Samantha is asking, how is the weighted value compiled, calculated on the sales pipeline report?
Well, we have a few different ways that we can calculate that, depending on how your particular organization calculates it. We have the probability to close that we can use to weight the value. We have the progress through the sales process that we can use to calculate it. And we also offer a combined version, looking at the probability to close and how far through the process you are today. If you expand the controls you find at the top of the report, you'll find options to switch between the different calculation methods. Now, if you have a method you use that we don't have today, let us know. That's exactly the kind of thing we want to include.
Okay, great. Kim is asking, can these reports be directly printed?
Absolutely. The easiest way to print the report is to just take a screenshot of the report you see on screen and print that screenshot. You can also export the content of that report if you want to print the more specific details before you go into meetings.
Awesome. Thanks, Malin. Lyndon is asking, does the reports module work with or integrate with solution like Ninja RMM?
The reports module in Accelo will provide reports on information that you see in Accelo. So if you are using Ninja, for example, and you've synced your devices and your clients' tickets and alerts with Accelo, then we can provide you reports on those devices and those tickets.
Malin, we still have quite a few questions, and we'll continue to keep going.
Keep them
Mahlon's a
coming.
pool of knowledge, so yeah, they're picking your brain here. All right, great guys, keep them coming. Caroline is asking, in the retainer report, can we split out the excess amount of time or / costs logged?
Today, we don't separate out the excess from the standard prepaid price and the allowance that you've defined. Now, if that's something that would be helpful for your tracking of your revenue, again, let us know. That's something that we could potentially include.
Okay, great, thanks. Ian is asking, is there a set series of reports that you can combine and easily export into a PDF? Say we wanted to have a regular book of several reports, could we easily export those without having to click into each one?
Today, we don't have any automated PDF creation for the reports. The quickest way, of course, is to screenshot what you see on screen and then save that as a PDF. With that said, this is one of the many areas that we're already looking to improve with reports. I'm happy to say we have quite a few improvements already in the pipeline to improve what you're already seeing today. So stay tuned.
Okay, great, thanks. We have a question on the WIP report. Do you have any information that actually shows this only the work in progress value from each client and project? I need the value for what is work in progress for the next month's revenue.
Absolutely. By default, the report will only give you projects that are currently in progress. So that's just what you're looking for by default.
Okay, thanks, Mahlon. Caroline is asking, in the project details report, does this account for external costs, billable expenses raised against the job, and does it deduct these from the project costs as well as the predicted forecast?
It does. When you see references to profitability throughout the system, profitability is going to be taking into account all the different sources of potential revenue and costs. That includes your team's time, your team's expenses, any material costs that you encounter, as well as any fixed prices that you've defined.
Okay, thanks, Mahlon. Rob is asking, will you be able to schedule an email reports?
So we touched on that a moment ago. Today, we don't have schedulable email reports, but that is something that we're working on in the future. For the meantime, I'd recommend taking a screenshot of the report as it comes out.
Thanks, Mahlon. Ian is asking, can you set a custom dashboard based on the reports that can be viewed in real time?
So each report is its own report. We don't combine them today, but you can open them up in separate tabs. I myself will use a little plugin for Chrome that cycles through different reports. We have it up on a big screen here in my office so that we can cycle through and keep track of all the different things that are going on throughout the company, throughout the day.
Okay, thanks, Mahlon. Kate is asking, can all these reports be done at staff level, individual staff WIPs?
Absolutely. Each of our reports includes a plethora of filters for focusing on the different contributors that lead to the numbers you see, from the different kinds of work, projects, sales, and tickets, to types of work, implementation projects, website development, consulting projects, the staff members that are working on them, account managers, timeframes. If you can think of it, well, if we don't have it yet, we're probably working on it already.
That's great. Akaripa is asking about a link to the recording. Don't worry, we'll get that for you. Okay. Misty is asking, can you tailor the colors to your company colors?
We're not there just yet, unfortunately. Today we just have a clean set of colors, but that is something that I would love to include to really make reports your reports.
Great. Caroline is asking, in client revenue, is there a way to split out the retainer revenue versus standalone projects?
Absolutely. The kind of work filter is the one that you're looking for. That'll allow you to focus specifically on retainers to see where that revenue is coming from, the types and clients that are producing that revenue, and then to focus on projects to see how that compares.
Great. Okay, so Kurt has a question about the time logged, or the dates, Being a global business, what dates are used for these reports? User-centric time, or is it date log time? For example, if someone in the USA logs time, does someone in Australia see it in the report as logged on that specific day?
So we will display the report based on the date the user entered when they entered the work. So if you enter it on Tuesday, you'll see it on that Tuesday everywhere you look at it.
Okay. Uh, Katrina is asking, how long will a trial subscription run for?
I don't think we have any hard limits on it yet. We're working with individual accounts like yours to make sure that we provide you enough time and information to make that decision for yourself. So reach out to your Accelo account manager and they'll help you through the process.
Okay, sure. Jamie is asking, the date format in the reports are in US format. Is it possible to change to AU format?
Not today, unfortunately. You will see those formatted as month, day, year, but if you do click into any of those dates, you will see a date picker, so you can always be sure you're picking the right date and you don't confuse May 5th with May 12th.
Great, thanks, Maylin. Petra is concerned. She is saying, you mentioned free reports for US customers. Does that mean there are no free reports for the rest of the world?
And thank you for the opportunity to clarify that, Petra. The free reports that we mentioned earlier are available to every user of Accelo, regardless of where you happen to reside. The mention of the US is for those users who have taken the extra step to also have your Accelo data hosted in the local Australian or EU regions. So if you are using reports today, you will have access to those 10 free reports.
Okay, great. Thanks, Maylin. Irene is asking, can Excel create or modify one of the current reports to be more specific to our business need?
Absolutely. That kind of customization is exactly what we're looking to offer you. So reach out to your account manager and we'll help get you started.
Okay. Matthew is asking, can reports be triggered or activated via progressions in other modules?
Not today. I can think of a couple of creative ways we could do that. For example, building in template activities or template tasks into certain steps in your project or ticket and having that send out to staff members who need to see it. So for example, when a project completes, sending out an updated project WIP link to all of your project managers.
Great, thanks, Maylin. Nikki is asking, is there any report for progress of each project by list?
Yeah, there's many different ways we could look at it, depending on how you're thinking of lists. Progress, though, will usually be looked at as the progress towards the due date, the budget usage, or the estimated time usage. The project WIP report does include breakdowns for the budgets and for the time, and I'm happy to say we're already working on something to provide you with overarching details for projects on how you're approaching your due dates. We do also have dedicated reports for how you're tracking towards due dates on individual tasks and milestone deliverables to keep track of how you're working at the micro level.
Thanks, Maylin. Anna is asking, can you sort by date on last contacted column on the sales pipeline?
I believe so. If you're looking at the details table at the bottom, where we have all that helpful information, just click the heading and you should see the option to sort it.
Okay. Matthew is asking, this may have just been answered. Let's see. In the retainer reports, can it separate included hours from excess hours and present this?
So to confirm, we don't do that separation today. We're just going to show you the total revenue based on the prices you've defined and the rates that you've assigned to your retainers. So that will pull that information live. So as you are adjusting your retainers, say pushing some work to the next month to allow for an excess cost to not be billed for, we will then take that into account so that you can see how that then affects your forecast revenue.
Okay, great. And Janice is asking, do any of the reports create a to-do list for staff? For example, prioritize what work should be looked at that day based on dates due, tickets, and projects.
Absolutely. One that I have found really helpful for this kind of question of looking at all the work going on in all the different areas of Accelo is the active task report. This is actually one of the free reports that's available to everyone, where it breaks down all of the tasks you're responsible for, due dates, skill requirements, and the projects, tickets, and retainers they're part of, so that your staff can focus on the larger view of tasks, not just one project, not just one ticket at a time.
Thanks, Mahlon. And David is asking, only client work billable time report is accessible. All other reports are locked. How can we access these for free today? Which we may have already answered, but contact your CSM for a reports trial. I think that I'm just looking for any other questions that are coming in. I believe we've answered quite a bit of them, if not all. And then for those that we haven't gotten to, don't worry, we will follow up with you via email individually. Okay. All right. So I think, Mahlon, we are good. And it's probably time for us to wrap up today. So thank you, everyone. We hope that you found this webinar helpful. And again, we are really excited. I know that this is going to be a game changer for many of our clients. If you guys have any questions, feel free to email success@accelo.com or your CSM, okay? And lastly, before we end, I wanted to extend a special thank you to Mahlon for spearheading this project. We are grateful for his contributions in making this reporting module come to fruition. Thank you, Mahlon, for all your hard work. Okay. All right. Well, thank you again, everyone, and have a nice day or evening wherever you are. Take care.